I think it's nearly the best live action version of this you could possibly get. So that's obviously glowing, right? I mean, ultimately, when you're trying to bring that source material that's originally animated and you're going to make it live action, that's not an easy thing, okay? So I think overall, what's done here by the director who, by the way, co-directed the 2010 original and the follow and the third How to Train Your Dragon, he knows the material and he does a very adequate job of bringing it to the big screen. I think there's a couple of things, listen, I've been doing this long enough that I can see where there needs to be a little bit of spackle here and there. I think one thing that you really notice here, and this is just for me, you're not going to probably see it. Some of the transitions aren't quite as unique and as aesthetically flary, as it were, as I would like, okay? So what does that mean? That means in between two scenes, we're going to go from a dragon's foot to a human hand, whatever that may be, okay? There's one example right there. I think there's a way that you want to blend that and make it a little more, again, as I said, artistically flary. Yes, that's the MMT word. And I think that's a real detailed critique, but that's what we do. We're better than everybody, okay? And we're doing it live. That's the beauty of it. But overall, I think the film looks good. It sets Burke, is that right? I believe that's the name of the town / island / area that they inhabit. It looks good, and the effects are strong and solid. And there's times, maybe the first flight scene, where it's not quite as awe-inspiring as you might want. But, listen, again, for me, knowing this film, when you go to see the live action, where's the surprise? So often when you watch a reaction stream from me and you see me totally geeked, it's because it's an original feel. That night, I haven't seen the story. I don't know what the emotional beats are. With this, I do. So, I didn't really get that, as we like to say here at MMT, the cinematic erection that maybe you would get from a Joker 2. But either way, you are, I think, in good hands here, capable hands with the director and with the overall film. I think sometimes it does feel a bit setty, right? Another word that we are ordaining here tonight, christening the bow with wham, setty. It feels like I'm on a set, right? So there's times where it feels like I am at Universal or wherever they shot this, Pinewood over in England, and you can tell that I am encapsulated in a set versus out in nature on the island in real setting. But again, these are just little things that I'm going to see that maybe you just gloss over, okay? Remember, when I watch these, I'm much more dialed in than the couple next to me who are kissing between every other scene. I was like, what? Did you guys meet at the 2010 original animated version? Why are you guys smooching in between scenes? He was like leaning over to her and going, honey, this is the part. I mean, what? Come on. He was, luckily, I gotta say, the dude was quiet enough where it didn't bug me. Plus, the movie was really holding no new mystery. It was just kind of like, I already know this, so I didn't care. But I'm like, really? Of all the movies to come and snuggle, you went and chose How to Train Your Dragon? You didn't wait for the Materialist tomorrow night? That'll be our MMT evaluation tomorrow night, 8/24's Materialist. Watch out for that one. I have a feeling that's going to get wild. I think the big key here, in addition to the overall, it brings it home, is that you have a strong cast. Gerard Butler is Dad, right? Just like he was the voice of the original and in 2 and 3. Well, 3 and, flashbacks. 2 is so good. Can I just say, before I forget, because trust me, at some point I'll just completely lose track of the fact that 2's like the best. How to Train Your Dragon is so fantastic. I think that's the best animated film of whatever year that was. Was that 14? Whatever year that came out. It was the best animated film that year because that really goes for it. Okay, if you haven't seen 2, just wait until this one goes there. And I know we're going to get one, obviously. It's be very successful. Okay, how high does this go? We'll talk about tomorrow. But there's really no reason this film should not be able to run throughout the summer, because Lilo and Stitch is dying down. Well, let's also talk about that before I get into the cast. In addition to Butler, I think the kid here is good. When you look at Lilo and Stitch, good God, right? This is much closer to actual cinema than Disney Channel garbage Lilo and Stitch. Okay, granted, I understand the stories are different, but that film feels like I'm watching television. This feels like I'm in a movie theater. Maybe not quite, like just a slight. Oh man, you know, in a weird way, I kind of wish I saw this in 3D. I feel like this would actually be a film that would benefit from 3D. The flying sequences, remember the original was 3D, if I'm not mistaken, is right in that time when you had Monsters versus Aliens, you had Great Gatsby, you had, what's it called? The one with Sylvester Stallone, the remake. Of course, I should know this. Dread. Look, you had Dread, you had Prometheus, you had all of those 3D movies that were organically shot in about 2010 to 2012, 13. In that range, that's when 3D made its resurgence. And I believe this is one of those, if I'm not mistaken. It was right on the cusp of it. I don't remember seeing it in 3D, but I know Monsters vs. Aliens was definitely in 3D. But that was a big driving point. I think this will, if it's available in 3D, I assume it is, I would probably recommend you see this that way. That's the format I'd go with. I saw it tonight in Prime. I was going to see Dolby, and then this one was a little bit better for me to get there. It's basically the same. AMC, when you get to those PLS with the IMAXs, the Dolby, and the Prime, you really can't lose. IMAX does not have the recliner. The other two do. Dolby is probably my favorite of all the screens, but Prime is so close because you've got a subwoofer in your seat. So when the dragons are first launching fire, you physically feel your seat shake. It's not that 4DX where the whole thing's moving, but you can just get that rumble. So big fan of Prime and Dolby, anything PLF. And this film, I think, deserves that, but I would go for the 3D here for sure. But back to the cast. Kid, I don't know if I've seen him before. He's good. The girl, there's some scuttlebutt about how she doesn't look like the version in the. I think she's solid. Really, no issues on the cast across the board. Everyone here works, so that's another positive. All in all, I'm going to give it a 90%. That's an A-, but again, that's because I already know the story. I can't go higher because I was not fully cinematically erect. If I'm not going to be fully cinematically erect, I can't go above 90.